Hello and welcome to Attention Central Texas. I'm your host, Charles Jenkins, and today we have in the studio with us author and publisher Teffanie White. Hello and welcome to today's show.
Hello, I'm so happy to be here.
Well, good to have you on the show. Teffanie, first of all, just tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I'm a original Killeen native.
Okay.
And by day, I'm an SES coordinator for 9 schools in Texas.
Wow.
Supplemental educational services that link up low socioeconomically disadvantaged students with top-notch tutoring all over the state, and it's very rewarding. And by night, I publish and push fabulous words all over the internet.
All right. Pushing fabulous words over the internet. Tell us what it is you do then, with those words.
Well, I've been inspired to have 2 separate projects. One of them is called Aesop's Tales, and it allows people to send their own inspirational tales anonymously, and I post them, I edit them, and that does very well. We're read all over the world, and we get so many inspiring stories. Some people don't want to tell their own stories, or they have some shame behind their own stories, and it's very cathartic that they have a venue in order to write their stories, have it edited, have their names taken out and people who are familiar or in the story, and have the lessons that are learned just be the little jewels that go out. And so once a week I post a story, and I get stories from prisons, I get stories from different countries, I get stories from a lot of stories from right here in Central Texas because that's where I'm from. And it has been such a rewarding project to give people a space to write their inspirational stories and give their stories to other people.
Speaking of rewarding, what does seeing people stories do for you?
I've had so many aha moments with these stories. I learn, it keeps my editing skills up, but I learned that no matter where we come from,
That's right.
what your ethnicity is, that there is a God and there is so many similarities, there are so many threads just in the human experience. It doesn't matter the age, it doesn't matter what country you're in. It's amazing, and I feel very blessed to be a part of that project.
It's interesting you say that because I've seen kids throw tantrums here in the U.S. and a kid throw a tantrum in Mexico, and it's still a tantrum.
It's the same tantrum. It's the same tantrum. I want to be heard. And I think that links back to people want to be heard, and they don't always have a place to share their stories. And this is a global forum where they can share their stories. And sometimes it's a snippet from their life, and sometimes they tell the totality of their life. And tips on marriage, there have been tips on friendship, there have been tips on how to stay out of trouble. So it's been just rewarding. I've gotten a lot from it.
Speaking of rewarding, one of the things I mentioned earlier that you're a publisher, you touched on a little bit about that, but you're an author as well. What are some things you've written?
Well, I've written a lot of things for publications, media publications, and I've worked on a few novels. I also have a thesis statement. I have a actual degree, a very interesting degree in writing popular fiction. So with that degree, we had to write a lot. I've written some plays that have been performed locally in this area at Viva Las Arts. I haven't done one in a couple of years, but I've done some ballets with Renee. I don't know if you know of Newcomb School of Ballet, but they do a spring ballet every spring at the Viva Las Arts. I've written a few of those.
Okay.
So I write to use the words. The words are what are important to me to inspire. And I have novels, articles, and blogs, and just wherever you can write.
And speaking of words, our words can do 2 things. And I talk about it all the time. You can build someone up.
I knew you were going to say it.
Down.
That's right.
And I see some words you have on here: glow, love, delicious, fabulous, appreciate, and a symbol for love. Why words?
It's so interesting. I don't know if this is a chicken or the egg concept, but many years ago I saw an interview with Maya Angelou. And she has a theory that words are things, and we don't view them as things very often. But in her theory, she says the words that we use, they're covering the walls. They are changing the environment. So you can either use words that build up or words that tear down. And when I was so moved by that theory that I took it into my classroom. And I said, we're going to make this, I want to see how this works. And I started teaching in at-risk schools in Houston. And the words that we were using weren't necessarily always building up. The words that the children were using with each other or the administration was using. So I wanted to be this positive word person. And any of the people who were in my class, they know that this was a very serious thing. And I started to see for myself how words are things. And somewhere in that, we decided to make words things. Mm-hmm. And to give them, to share them, to spread them. I want to see positive words everywhere. I want to see them on the walls. I want to see them on billboards, on buses. And so that's my personal mission. So we've been doing some particular things. We've put out a line of 6 books that are all based on positive words. We have 7 more coming out next month. And cards. We have apps coming out this summer. And with the words, we just want to change, because words are things. And like you said, they are very important. They build up or they tear down. So we want more words in the world that build up.
And I can attest to it. You know, one of the things I do with both my girls at night is saying, you're wonderful, you're beautiful, you're awesome, you're spectacular. And the 2-year-old has gotten to the point now where if I say you're wonderful, she say all the words that go with it. And her face glows with it.
Glow. So you know glow.
Glow. All right.
You know glow.
Speaking of words, does ASAPs, if I'm saying it right, is that an acronym for something?
ASAP is an acronym for something, and if you're familiar, it has a connection to Aesop Tales. When you study in history Aesop fables, Aesop is very common to a lot of different countries. There's no true origin to Aesop, but we have this world today that are full of Aesop tales. So we sort of modeled that blog after Aesop Tale that has a moral at the end, the story, and they have these simple titles. We changed the acronym to be, I hope I say it correctly, an extraordinary, that's the A and the E, an extraordinary story, ordinary persons tell. And so that's what it came from. So, you know, we wanted to be everyone is someone on Aesop. It doesn't matter where you come from, your story is valid, and we want to hear what the moral is in it.
I love that you say ordinary and extraordinary.
Yeah.
Because when, that reminds me of Peter in the Bible.
Yes.
When he was before the Sanhedrin, they said, this man doesn't have any education, but we could tell he's been with Jesus Christ. He's extraordinary people doing extraordinary
things. That's exactly
And that's
right.
what you're doing. Tell us a little bit about your blog. And the first thing that comes to mind when we talk about the blog is Free Cotton. What is Free Cotton?
Well, Free Cotton is how people can reach me. That's my educational blog.
Okay.
It's a very separate thing than using the words, but it's my platform.
Okay.
Because I've been an educator for quite some time, and there have been some tips that I want to share with parents and teachers and educators. And now that I've changed to be an SES coordinator, I have more availability and option to share those tips that have been helpful with me and my classroom and my students. And I had a tutorial center here in Central Texas before.
Okay.
So I just want to share those things. Free Cotton, there is a very interesting saying in West Texas where I live, and it's called bless his cotton socks. And I don't know if anyone, I never heard that before I moved to West Texas. Bless his cotton socks. And it just means that, like, when someone is having a terrible time struggling, you're looking at them going, poor baby. So it's bless his cotton socks. When I went to go look up the origin of that particular term, it actually is an English term. And there was a particular, I don't know the correct word, a man who traveled around as his own personal mission to a missionary to go to India and open schools. And his name was Mr. Cotton. And he felt that if everyone, when he got to India, he said he felt that the thing that would level the playing field would be for everyone to have socks. So there were these great little old ladies in England knitting cotton socks and sending them to India, and the boxes were marked "Socks for Cotton's Blessings." So that's where that original term coin came from, and I believe it's so interesting because I think that's what that blog does, is to level the playing field in education, be you a homeschooler or you're teaching in a church, or you're, if you're teaching at a school, if you're a parent and you want some extra tips to help out.
Now, it seems like you're doing a lot of things, and before we run out of time, if someone wanted to get in contact with you, how would they do that?
Wow. I believe the easiest way would be Teffanie@gmail.com.
Okay.
And Teffanie is Teffanie. And then I can direct to whichever particular project that you're interested in. A lot of the proceeds from the Pictureless projects will be going to several organizations that have already been picked out to also spread positive words around the planet.
I think that's a good concept because that's that's one of the things I try to do is be positive. You got a choice to make.
I think this is a great match because I watched your shows and you share a lot of positive words, sir.
Well, thank you. If you had something to say to some parents sitting and watching the show today and some kids sitting and watching the show today, what would you tell them?
Turn the closed caption on.
Turn the closed caption on the TV? And why is that?
Well, I think it's interesting that we have so many different learning styles, but we're spending a lot of time in America in front of the television. And it could be a dual experience if you had the words feed going at the bottom, so that people can make connections to the words and to what's being said. And it's magical. It also is very helpful when I don't want to hear the television, that they can turn the sound down and they can still read what's going on. My kids often think that they're sneaking, but I know the television's on. So if the words are there, there's a better connection that'll be in different metacognition in different parts of the brain. And it heightens the experience to read.
Wow. That's pretty interesting.
Yeah.
And the scriptures remind us that it's not what goes in the mouth that defiles a man, but what comes out of the mouth defiles a man. I want to take this time. I know the time flew by and we've talked about a lot of stuff, but I want to take this time to say thank you for being on the show today.
My pleasure.
Thank you for doing what you do. And I encourage you to continue sharing positive words because the world needs to hear that.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you for having me.
And thank you, our viewers, for tuning in to Attention Central Texas.